The book of love is long and boring. No one can lift the damn thing. It's full of charts and facts and figures and instructions for dancing. But I love it when you read to me.
Over there, bud. We got past that. Connor, give it to Grammy. Oh, there we go.
Connor, give it to Alex.
Give it to mommy. Connor.
The book of love is long and boring and written very long ago. It's full of flowers and heart-shaped boxes and things we're all too young to know. But I love it when you give me things and you
I just needed to get to my breathing. It's okay. Thank you.
Welcome, family and friends. Brittni and William have chosen you, those special and important to them, not to witness the beginning of what will be, but rather what already is. In this next chapter, beginning today, the bride and groom are embarking on the grandest adventure of human interaction. Brittni, William, the story of your lives together are still yours to write. All those present have come to witness and celebrate your love and commitment, eager to be a part of the chapters of this story not yet told. At this time, I'd like to invite the groom's father up and share a story about the adventures of marriage.
First of all, thanks for coming out. I know it means a lot to the bride and the groom. So my first thought when I learned that Will and Brittni had decided to get married was not, I wonder how much this is going to cost me. That was actually my second thought. My first thought was, don't most couples just end up getting divorced? And my final thought, before I realized I hadn't even said congratulations yet, was, so I wonder why people are still trying to pull off this whole marriage thing. To be honest with you, about a year or so later, when Will and Brittni asked if I could share a few thoughts during this ceremony, I was still thinking about this last question. How is it that couples all over the world, young and old, gay and straight, religious or spiritual or not, both romantic and cynical, how is it that couples everywhere are still trying to get this marriage thing to work? Then Brittni said, try to make your speech about adventure, or that kind of thing. Yeah, I like that for a theme, adventure. Okay. So then I knew what I was going to be talking about. When I thought about Will and Brittni and adventure, I immediately remembered a trip we all took together to the canyons back in the summer of 2010. You know, all the ones in Arizona and Utah you're supposed to visit. Bryce Canyon, Grand Canyon, Zion, you get it. Well, our first night at Bryce, Will and Brittni decided that they were going to wake up super early the next morning to try and watch the sun come up at a famous spot called Sunrise Point. Well, anybody who knows those two can tell you that getting up and out is not exactly an area of strength for them. But they did it. Somewhat slowly, somewhat reluctantly, but with each other's support, Brittni and Will watched the sun rise over one of the world's most remarkable natural wonders. What's the takeaway here? Maybe it's that adventure is often a job that requires two people. Interestingly enough, sleeping through the sunrise of Bryce Canyon had been something on my bucket list for quite a while, and I'm happy to report that I was able to check that one off. 3 days later, when the plan was for Will and Brittni to watch the sun come up over the north rim of the Grand Canyon, things turned out a little differently. Brittni got up, but William wouldn't budge. She begged and prodded and cajoled. Will only rolled over, eyes still closed, weakly offering this observation, "It's the same sun!" Which is true. Brittni promptly left without him to witness and enjoy the majestic sight of the sun rising over the Grand Canyon, fourth natural wonder of the world, all by herself. So what does this mean? I'm not totally sure. But I think it might mean something like this. Yes, adventure often takes two people, but it doesn't always take two. So when thinking about William and Brittni and adventure and why people are still getting married, maybe it's all about looking for someone you can count on to help you find adventure and get it done when that's what you need. But then it's also about finding someone who won't get in the way of your adventure when you need that instead. And it seems to me that Will and Brittni are very fortunate to have found each other, the perfect partners for adventure. Thanks.
Thank you, Dennis. The bride and groom have written their own vows to share with one another. To decide who will go first, Brittni and William will partake in a little competition.
Come on, Brittni.
You did it wrong.
Less than 6 months after we started dating, I started writing my vows. I suppose I was jumping the gun a little bit, but I was right. And now I realize I wasn't really writing vows. I wasn't making any promises. I was just writing things that I love about you. And it's a good thing that I did, since I started typing these officially T-minus 3 days ago. All of the times I wrote about you, my reasons and stories revolved around one key theme. You just make sense. Silly, I know, but what I love about you most is that you just make sense. My whole life was surrounded by uncertainty, but I never have to ask why when I think about being with you in a long haul. I could go on and say sappy things to make the audience cry, but I think I'll choose a few obvious reasons we should file for taxes jointly so we all go in a big way. Reason number 1. You smell good. Now, since I constantly have a stuffy nose, it shouldn't matter if you're smelly, but that's not why it's awesome. And you know why, but let me once again explain. I have the worst immune system ever, and your ancestors survived the plague. So, your major histocompatibility complex is perfectly opposite to mine, so we'll have healthy babies. Because we know how chemical this all is, I'm proud that our first and only nicknames were Monkey Man and Monkey. Reason number 2. You're an engineer. Despite the gather-first assumptions, this has nothing to do with the fact that you can support my low-paid passion for education reform and social justice. This is just a beautiful added bonus. I'm impulsive and emotional. I bring home cats on a whim. I change my plans You will probably keep me alive longer than I would be on my own by holding your arm out to stop me from walking into moving traffic. Because you think things through, it makes me confident you are quite sure about marrying me. I'm sure it was tough getting your pros list longer than the cons, like taking up the whole bed, never doing dishes, and constantly losing my keys. But I'm happy that you pushed through whatever complex calculus you had to do to make the right choice. Number 3. You're honest, sometimes brutally. Mom drilled in my head that lying was bad from day one, and I guess I'll carry that on. But I feel that honesty is the only way we can beat the odds of divorce in California. We know we weren't necessarily meant for each other, and we know there'll be many times we'll want to back out of rough situations. We also know that we made this conscious decision to work through our lives together because our two heads are better than one. I love that throughout our relationship, you meant what you said, and you said what you meant. Like Horton, who saw food. I know you're faithful, 100%. In conclusion, you just make sense. We don't fit together in traditional ways, we even hold hands weird, but that's okay. Although I cannot promise we will be perfect, or that we will always love each other in the same way that we do today, I can promise to always put our family first, and not bring home any more cats without your full approval, unless I'm the only one that can save its life, in which case I must bring him home immediately. I love you, and I'm proud to stand here today with you making a commitment to work through all the entropic situations with one hand in yours and one holding snacks in water.
Yeah.
I'd had a crush on you for a while, so I was pretty happy when you offered to drive me. I was volunteering at a local children's museum out of town, but I had no car to get there or back. We'd hung out, sure, but I was looking forward to talking with you one-on-one. The trip out was awkward and quiet. You made small talk easily, but even your potent conversational skills were stymied by my monosyllabic answers. I was dumbstruck. You dropped me off and I stood there, amazed at your affable nature and reflecting how pretty you were up close. The day went by, I did my work, and it was time to leave. Walking to the parking lot, I resolved to make the trip back a better one. Nervous about how it would go, I waited for you to come around the corner. And waited. And waited. I began to worry. Was something wrong? Had that airbagless death trap camera finally claimed you during the trip? Then another more chilling thought. Had I been so cocky and weird that you'd simply decided to ditch this loser? I called and called, but you didn't pick up. Finally, I managed to get my roommate to come get me. A few hours after I returned to campus, I ran down to my dorm and burst into my room and apologized profusely. Expecting a story involving a stolen phone, catastrophic car failure, or a family emergency, I listened intently as you said, "Sorry, I fell asleep and my phone was dead." Well, after 4 years of being together, I learned that would not be an isolated incident. But I learned something else too. That the impression I got from you in that card read wasn't just the product of my 18-year-old hormones. You were just as funny, friendly, and foxy as you were in my bed. Luckily, you found some redeeming qualities in me too, because a few months later we were together. From the beginning, our relationship has been hard. Not constant fighting, we're on the rocks hard, but hard in what we've had to go through together. Bad roommates, no money, sick kitties, separation. The list goes on, as it does for every couple, but those challenges were ours. However, we did it. We're here, and we're on our way. And I can tell you, I'm not sure I would have made it with anyone else. While the thought of a single person in your life can mean so much, but the stakes are always so high, it's a scary one. It always has been worth it in the end. Being with you has been the most rewarding and the most challenging experience of my life. And I can't thank you enough for sharing yourself with me. Our personalities, while not compatible in theory, I've done better together than I could have ever hoped in practice. You have shaped me into a happier, calmer, and more compassionate person. And for that, I've always felt bad, like I didn't have as much to offer. But I will do whatever I can to be that person for you too. And from that comes my only vow, the only promise I can really make. To love you. In whatever shape or form that comes in, I will love you no matter what. It will be hard, but I know I can do it, because you'll be on my side. I love you, my kid.
Go on, Jay.
Say, how do you not hug before the whole deal?
Alright. The bride and groom have exchanged rings at the beginning of their engagement to symbolize their commitment. Throughout the relationship, they've made many promises, and no promise sealed by the pinky swear has yet been broken. In lieu of tradition, they will engage in the pact that has formed the cornerstone of their relationship. A marriage is the hardest job you'll ever have, second only to parenthood. Your engagement has been one long interview. Do you promise to work overtime and come in early on a Saturday as needed for the good of this marriage?
We promise.
Do you promise to save time for yourselves as individuals to enjoy your independent hobbies and interests?
We promise.
Do you promise to speak your mind and say what you mean?
We promise.
Do you promise to sometimes agree to disagree?
We promise.
By the power vested in me, granted over the internet, I now pronounce you partners in life.